Hello, everyone. Welcome to podcast number 3, Chase VGM podcast. Hope you're all doing well. And I think we almost listened to every single track that has been listened to in a podcast so far. There you go. We can take off the timer there. And let's waste no time in introducing our guests for today. Uh, Hello, everyone. We have with us
Hello.
the collector, MarvelousBilly, and LVCreed. Welcome to the podcast. How are you all doing?
Hey, get in
Hello,
there.
I'm all right.
Thanks,
I'm doing pretty good.
thanks for adapting to the sudden changes that were happening recently. The podcast, unfortunately, has a rotating time zone, and which makes discussing it with people in different time zones a little bit funny. But thank you for putting up with it. Um, but we're all here, and we got quite a few people watching at the moment. So I forgot to do this last time with the other with podcast 2. So apologies to those people if they cared. But if the guests today want to introduce themselves and say as little or less about themselves before we start, just give us an idea maybe of I don't know where you're from or what you do and why you joined the Chase VGM. You don't have to give us any information if you wish not to. Collector, do you want to start?
Sure. Hello, the collector from the Chase VGM. As everybody knows,
What?
I live in Mississippi. I have two wonderful kids. I love vinyl collecting. Replaced game collecting is my favorite thing. And yeah,
Sounds
that's
good.
about it.
Nice, very nice.
Um,
No, I'm Mia, MarvelousBilly by username. I joined the chase back when Sut showed it to us. Well, he first showed it to us, and then we didn't go, we didn't join, and then we got into VGMQ, and then he showed it to us again, and we were like, "Well, this is kind of cool."
Yeah,
and so now we've just kind of migrated over to here, and yeah,
Do you still do VGMQ?
we do the events when somebody hosts like a custom quiz,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't play nearly as much as I used to.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. My experience with VGMQ, I think I'm pretty sure it was VGMQ Collector. You might remember us discussing this, but there was some track that came up that was like my dream girl creator or something like that. It was like waifu
Yeah,
creator
sounds about right.
game,
Oh,
and I was like, okay, I don't think this quiz is for me.
It's
um,
got a lot of obscure
that sounds
games.
about right.
yeah, yeah. Sounds like VGMQ says electric as well. Yeah. Very cool. And Creed?
LVCreed, hailing from the States in Tennessee. Most people probably know me for my Mega Man ventures, of course, speedrunning Mega Man fan games, ROM hacks, clones, those are the like. Came to Chase VZM pretty much on a whim. Saw it in my recommended channels on the side of my Twitch dashboard and
Awesome.
decided to come in and I'm glad I came. I like to do VGM quizzes, not like VGMQ or all that stuff, kind of like just random streams that kind of like do those at random
Hmm.
just for funsies, and I've liked that stuff, of course, like VGM. So here I am now, been in here for a couple of years, and glad I never looked back.
I've got a question for you with regards to the speed running. So you've gone to events like um, video, what is it? I'm not sure
Games
the
done
acronym.
quick.
Games Done Quick, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
GDQ.
GDQ. And so when you first did it, I mean, imagine you're just nervous every time, but you don't look nervous. So, do, how do you? Is it just because you've speedrun it so many times that it's just like I don't think I can actually mess this up even if I tried to? Or
Nah, hardly.
Yeah,
It, when you're waiting for your run to come up, that's when the nerves probably gets up to its zenith.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
you're kind of just waiting to get things going, and because for me, when it comes to speed running and presenting in events like that, I always kind of focus on the first few minutes. The start is always so important because it sets the tone for
Yeah.
the run itself and how the run is presented. And
Mhm.
then once you start getting into a groove, that's when it kind of starts falling into place and the nerves kind of vanish. Well, probably not completely. There are probably some things you could be worried about down the line, but is it winds up just getting a little bit more and more chill as you keep going.
Did you ever have a moment where you just couldn't get past the kind of mental block? Like it was just you got too nervous or you got in your own head a bit too much and you just couldn't do a certain part or anything like that?
No, actually, no. The only situations where things really, really got bad is when my controllers keep flubbing.
Ah,
I
okay.
remember, I remember my very first GDQ run, which I would think it was Summer Games Done Quick 2017 in a race,
Hmm.
and my controller was double bounded to another command,
Hmm.
so I really couldn't do any of the stuff that I would normally do correctly. So my run, even though technically was underestimate, it felt like a disaster because I really didn't get to do all that I wanted to do
Mm.
and make the run competitive, and it was against the world record holder
Um,
at the time. Me and said holder were kind of only two people at the current levels that the game was on. Of course, the game got more broken up since then. Not gonna say the name for right now because that's unimportant. But it's just things just kind of snowballed and got worse as it came. But and it felt bad after. But I'm still grateful for the experience. Is just it was a good time, and it overall just is what it is.
did you ever have like the opposite where everything just kind of fell into place? You're like, wow, what's going on? Like everything, it's like I'm
Nope,
playing unusually better. Okay,
absolutely,
no, no,
absolutely not.
fair enough.
There's always something that kind of just goes out of place. There's something messed up, but it's just par for the course in live events. You're not
Yeah,
expected to gain
yeah, of
PBs or
course.
world records, and things can just happen on the fly at any given moment. You kind of just take it as it is, and depending on the game, it can be as chill or as nerve wracking as you like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also forget, or you may forget after doing it for so long that other people may have not seen any of it before, and they're just going to be blown away by the simplest things that are just mundane to you by that point, I guess. Um, but good to have you all with us. Um, we are going to be listening to 4 tracks today, one from each of us. And I encourage everyone, once again, when it comes to listening to the tracks, to really take the time to just switch off what you're doing. Try not to listen to the track and be doing something else at the same time. There's only 4 of them, so it's not like we're asking for much. And it's the whole point of the exercise, so you can join in on the discussion in the chat as well. Um, now, I just want to check before we get started. Mia, your track is 8 minutes long. Does it have a loop point or?
Yeah,
Okay,
it does not.
it does. Okay, that's
It
fine. That's
is
fine.
it like ends naturally at the end.
Uh,
Um,
okay, not
at
a
least not
problem.
that I've noticed a loop point.
Sure, sure, no problems. Does anyone wish to go first? All right. Well, I'll go first.
We
So
can
to
save
break,
mine if you
yeah, yeah,
want.
I'll break the ice with my one. It was one that
Silence.
I forgot about it until I was doing the pre-show because I was trying to think, man, I swear I had something that I wanted to do, and then I saw the pre-show. I was like, that's right. I discussed it in the last episode. It was the Unist DLC track. I think it's DLC. Ice-filled White Night was the track, and the reason why I picked it is because I do play the piano, as people already know that by now, and I do like Chopin. He's my favorite composer, and you already know how much I despise what happened to Eternal Sonata, which was meant to be a video game about that composer, but they used pretty much none of the music except for the final boss theme. During certain points of the game, they talk about some of his pieces, and they're just played on the piano like directly, no remix or anything like that. And it was kind of just disappointing that they never took all of his work and they just did nothing with it. But this particular track does use a pretty kind of, not obscure, but it's not one that I would imagine many of you have heard before. Chopin did 4 ballads, or ballade if you want to get fancy, and they're all one of his most difficult pieces. They're quite long, and number 1 is very famous and probably my favorite. It was in the movie The Pianist, if anyone's heard of that movie. It's like with the one where the piano player is in Nazi Germany. He's Black Polish and so on. Anyway, this track uses parts of that piece in it, and it's pretty much right from the beginning, I think. But yeah, I'll see if I can find while it's playing. I'll see if I can find the actual Chopin piece that it's coming from. But let's have a listen to Icefield White Knight from Under Night in Birth. All right, there you have it. So I'll just give it a second for everyone to catch up. Is that
It's
15
all good
second?
for me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so there's two parts that are from the original, and there's one part that's harder to hear at the end. I only just realized it now. I thought it was only in the second version of this in Eunice 2, but the main one, the diddle 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 diddle, that part is from their thing, and I'm just going to see if I can quickly find it. Let's see. There we go. I found it pretty quickly. That's good. So that's where it comes from. So yeah, we're a little bit more educated in classical music today. So yeah, it was very fun to stumble across that. It was actually someone suggested this track through the forum, and that's how I discovered it. I don't remember who did it. It might have been Hunt, but yeah, before I added it, I thought I'd listen to it, and then there you go. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that. Um, aren't these other tracks on this with uh, classical remix? Possibly, possibly. If you know of any HB, I'd be interested to know.
Sounded like it would fit right in with Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, or Castlevania Curse of Darkness.
Yeah, it always has this like tango kind of vibe to it at the start. I'm not sure. It's got like this kind of Spanish dance feel right at the start, which is also an unusual combination. Um, and yeah, the part at 3 minutes. Or I mean, it happens earlier, but I just made note of it that it played at 3 minutes. I'll just play it again quickly. But this part is just fantastic. Yeah, that you know when a part just hits, it just hits exactly the way you want it to. I think that's very
Oh,
much
yeah.
that for me. I couldn't have imagined it being better. So this is less analytical and more just gushing on my end for this track, because it's very rare for me to come across a new track and then just magnetize to it immediately like that. But this one definitely got into my top 100 as well, and quite high up in it too. After just listening to it a few times, I think I listened to it all day the day I discovered it. A big
I can
classic.
understand the feeling.
Do you,
You can kind of the when it comes to music like that, especially when you got a heavy guitar focus, you gotta make sure that the piano playing also has that kind of equal. I want to say equal energy that kind of makes that kind of
right?
style of musical theme work. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be able to get that kind of emotion or that kind of feeling, especially from a fighting game where you're kind of going in high energy, high tilt, trying to beat your opponent. That energy from the music can just be that little extra push forward, and when you kind of get to that piano melody, you can get into that little, I don't want to say serenity, but
Hmm, hmm.
it's just something that can want to get your blood flowing, just get you in a in a right mind frame to just go into combat. Just put into kind of that kind of mindset. Considering we're talking about a fighting game track here.
Yeah, and plus, like electric guitar really sets the kind of energy standard really hard, and it's very difficult for a lot of acoustic instruments to catch up, if you know what I mean. And so that's generally why you just never really hear too much of instrument blending, like from regular instruments to electronic instruments in these kind of fighting game. But uh, I think it manages to do it. I don't know whether or not it would work out as well in real life because these louder instruments would tend to drown out an instrument like the piano unless it had like a whole bunch of microphones
Yeah.
pointed at it or something like that, or it was like electric. But I don't know if you've ever seen performances before where they have like a whole band playing and then someone's on the keyboard and you just can't hear them.
Yeah, I've had something like that happen.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just a little too quiet. Like especially if there's drums, which are just
Mm.
very, very loud.
Yeah, it's very hard for it to catch up unless they designate like a small solo bit, and it's like, oh yeah, there he is, and then they're just playing
Yeah.
chords, and you just assume that it's adding something. I mean, it even happens in orchestras as well, where you've got everyone playing, and you can tell that flute player is playing something over there, but you can't hear it. So I guess it's just adding. That's pretty much my part wrapped up. Who would like to go next?
Any I mean, I can go.
Okay,
if
let's
if
go.
no one else wants to.
Yeah, I'll load up your track here now.
It's a bit of a long one, but I really like it just
That's
the whole way
alright.
through.
Did you want to say anything about it before we get started?
I mean, not anything crazy other than it's by one of my favorite composers that I found through video game music, which is Hayato Asano.
Mm-hmm.
This I think is his best work, only second to Balmy Summer Breeze, which is In the Chase.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've got.
What's the context of the track? Do you know?
So from what I can tell and research into this is an arrange album, so it doesn't play directly in the game,
Yep.
but it's arranging a track that's from like New Atelier Verona
Mm-hmm.
or Atelier. I don't know how to say the word.
Yeah.
But
Atelier.
yeah, I've always called it Atelier. It's just nicer. It's funner to say. But I think it's a boss theme from the extra content they added.
All right. Shall we listen?
Yeah, HB's got it.
Let's get straight into it then. This is Flash Frost Arrange from Atelier Rorona Arrange album. There you have it. We'll just wait for everyone to catch up.
Mine actually just ended.
Oh, very nice.
I think I have
The delay's not as
slower
long as I
delay
thought it
on.
was. Yeah.
I think it's because I have lower delay turned on Twitch.
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting.
Oh, what a song!
Yeah.
Quite girthy that was.
Much content.
I love that song just so
The
much.
guitar was amazing.
As soon as I heard it for the first time, it was just like, this is my favorite song he's ever done.
For
And
the
it's just
first
like,
time, yeah.
yeah, and then you hear it again and again when you just put it on loop for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever you find a good song that you really like.
Oh,
Like what you had with that last song, I think you were talking about.
yeah. I mean, like when it's an 8-minute song too, that means that there's
Yeah,
just so
it's
much. Like you don't get the initial boredom, like the repetitive sting straight away. You keep discovering new parts of the track that you like over
yeah,
and over.
and like even though it uses a very similar like motif a lot throughout the song, it's
Mm.
always done in like unique ways to make it like you don't get bored of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like especially the part that I like the most, I think, is when it goes really calm right about halfway through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like is like that for a good like 30 seconds, and then it just builds right back up to, even more intense than it was beforehand, which is just like that part is incredible.
Especially when you know it's coming as well.
Yeah,
So we don't often talk about it with music, but repeat listenings to certain to music, part of the enjoyment now comes from the anticipation of knowing what's coming. Um, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't notice it as much when you're listening to it the first time, but yeah, it does
yeah.
make
Yeah,
music
I
you're
think.
always looking forward to that drop when you
Yeah.
know it's coming
Oh
up.
my
Yeah.
god,
Oh,
yeah. The
yeah.
one example of that would be Color Splash's Paper Mario Color Splash's Prisma Splash, the credits theme. Right at the end, it like because it's like a melody kind of song, or it goes through a medley is the word, not melody.
Mhm.
It goes through like the chapters of the game, and then right at the end, it does a unique part where it's just like it's like a really calm, and then it just builds up right into this like huge crescendo, and it's so incredible to listen to.
Do you have
Mostly
the
when I'm re-listening to it.
timestamp? Do you have the timestamp
I
for this
do.
one?
It's around about 7 minutes in.
7 minutes.
If you
All
want
right.
to,
Yeah, I've got.
go to that point.
You've got
Another really
slides.
long song that I like.
Slides prepared earlier. All right, here we go.
I did write down some times I wanted to look at
Cool.
for some songs.
This is the 7th minute of Prisma Splash. And there you go. Yep. Nice.
Yeah, it's just that kind of vibe where it really just builds up, especially that one where it's like you can hear it start to build up.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
It always gets me. Gives me
you can
chills
hear
every
the
time.
anticipation kind of building up as they get to that one specific part. That whole sequence just winds up
Yeah.
swelling you up with emotion, and when it hits, oh,
Yeah,
I'm actually
it's
interested.
sad I can't long play this in the chase because it's too long.
I'm actually just curious which instrument is the giveaway, because usually there's always a tell. I'm just gonna listen to that again, and I'm just curious to see if we can work out which instrument gives the tell that it's about to build up.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the instrument.
It's like a cymbal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a timpani. I couldn't remember because they like doing that whole drum roll that do before it like ramps up, but it was a cymbal in this case where they kind of like rub the cymbals together to create that sound. Cymbals or timpani, yeah. Suspended cymbal, says Electric Fortune. Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean, the last thing I could have talked, I could talk about other songs that do a similar thing, but I think I've been talking for a little bit here.
No,
So
all good. Was there any going back to this particular track? Flash
the
Frost.
Flash Frost.
Was there any particular moments that were like, oh yes, that bit?
I mean, you might have seen in chat, I kept going this part heart to like the entire song
Yeah, yeah.
because there's just so many parts that all hit differently in their own unique way.
It's definitely
I
like
think
an all
I think
stars of
it's my
instruments too.
yeah. I think my favorite is like the solo part at like 6.5 minutes in, um, around about that point,
Let's have a quick
and
listen.
then also the part that was like it goes calm and then it builds up.
Yeah, I'll just play it quietly so we can talk over it.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's a similar thing that happens in Carrying the Weight of Life from Xenoblade 3. The end of that song has a similar, like, calm part into a big build-up. And that's just something I love now. Ever since I first really, like, heard it.
Oh well, if you know
not,
any
not
other,
since I first heard it, but since I first realized it.
if you know any other tracks that come into big build up, you know, to send your suggestions to at in the bangers channel.
Yeah, just ping me with it.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. We're going to hear plenty of it in the future, I guess, in the pre-show.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because every track that's come up in the pre-show, I'm remembering what people were saying about it, and I'm listening to those parts. So you definitely do learn the track very quickly when you even do any kind of like thought analysis or just appreciation of it. Someone just
Yeah.
points out a certain thing. Very nice, cool. I do. It's definitely in line with the other games as well. I'm starting to recognize the style
Oh, yeah,
for these
it's
games.
very,
Yeah.
very Gust.
Very it's almost like just unapologetically like not happy. That's just too like plain of a word. Like hopeful,
Yeah.
positive. I'm not sure how else you'd say it.
Yeah, their whole
Whimsical?
discography is really good.
Yeah.
Like, of their soundtracks.
Free. I like that actually. Free is a good
Mhm.
word for FT. Un unrestrained. Joyful.
Unapologetic, even.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Marvelous Billy, for that one. Creed Collector, would you like to go next?
I think I'll go ahead and go next and have Collector finish those off. Have ourselves a little chaser sandwich between main people and players.
Sure, sure, sure. I keep calling your game Gradius Garden in my head, but I keep misreading it. Gradius Gaiden. We've got
Yes.
here. Yeah. Give us a little bit of preamble before, if you like.
All right, so let's talk about Konami for a little bit. We got some music in the chase based around Konami. Of course, we got our Metal Gear Solids, we got our Castlevanias, maybe you got a bit of Contra, a little side game, Rocket Knight Adventures, but we really don't talk about one of their other major franchises back in the day. Of course, we have one of their side games, Parodius, but we never truly had a Gradius game really showcased within the chase.
Mm-hmm.
And for one of the things that, and I'm gonna be a little bit broad with this, because one of the main gimmicks of the Gradius series, they always kind of have like some kind of organic stage, a fleshy stage, kind of like cells, organs, all that stuff. That's one of the common themes within their game. You almost like see one of those in almost every Gradius game. However, with Gradius Gaiden, and it's the at least as far as the music goes, to me it ranks way up there. You hear a lot about Gradius 3, either the SNES or the arcade, and of course Gradius 5. But there's just something about Gradius Gaiden that personally to me sets itself apart from the other Gradius games within the series. And Gradius Gaiden is basically kind of like a one-off spin-off game, more or less. So what I'm about to present to you, all the people that are out there right now, is a little bit of I'm gonna say the preview because this is something that I'm definitely gonna be submitting in the chase in the very near future. It might not be the next game. I have something already set up for that, but
Mhm.
it might be the game after. And I'm going to present to you a little bit of a preview of probably one of the more unique themes that I came across within this game.
Okay, looking forward to it. Now, I just have a question. These stages in Gradius, because I haven't played, I don't think I've played a Gradius game before. Is this like a planet, like a world, and then it's like you've gone inside the planet or something like that? Or
I want to say Gradius itself is a planet, but you also it's kind of like interstellar. Go to interstellar places against the Bacterians, which it has a number of lore. Of course, you don't pay attention to the lore in Gradius. It's not the thing you kind of
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I hear stuff about Venom being the home planet of the Bacterians, and some kind of like other hostile life forms that come to take over the planet Gradius or conquer it or destroy someone and so forth. It's kind of a weird, interesting mix.
All right, well, let's jump straight into the track then, and we can discuss it further afterwards. This is Internal, Stage 5, Organic Fortress from Gradius Gaiden. Let's go. All right, we'll just wait for everyone to catch up.
I mean, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's you kind of think for kind of like space mub, you kind of think of sci-fi, techno kind of elements, but it's just something about this stage that or at least this track that kind of represents what I feel about Gradius Garden as a whole compared to all the other Gradius games that proceeds and succeeds it. It presents itself so well not only in terms of gameplay,
Mm-hmm.
but the music in it it's just something about it that just it sticks with me, and it winds up being probably it became one of my favorite soundtracks, if not probably the tippy top of Gradius soundtracks. And if you've been around Gradius games enough, you could argue that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, I thought that I was trying to think of what words to describe this track, um, and I think I didn't want to say it was like just spooky. It's not like spooky or scary or anything. It's a different word for it. Once again, it's
You can
like,
argue eerie, maybe a little eerie.
yeah, but there's also something a little bit kind of um, what was the word that you used in the chat? Peaceful and calming at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dual dynamic. It kind of starts off like this. It kind of starts off ominous and eerie, that little spooky like the ooh,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, and then winds up going to this almost. And Mia was talking to me about this not too long ago before it started. It kind of like this almost Middle Eastern kind of like sounds,
Yeah.
kind of like the false sitar,
Yeah.
kind of sort of.
Yeah.
But it's that transition in the two parts, how they transition to each other. This it makes it work for at least the sound. In context, as you see the stage, it probably also suits it better. But it, it's it's just it yeah, it works.
There's a lot of organic sounds in the track, like the beating
hmm
and the kind of gloopy, squelching kind of noises that are going on. Blub Blub said the collector, which is, yeah, very
That's
very kind of.
just sort of sounded very liquidy. I mean,
Yeah, I could
Yeah, I
imagine being
noticed.
inside the body or something like that.
I noticed a drum that was near the start, like in the background. That was very much. It felt like organic sounding,
Hmm.
despite being like a drum.
I
I thought that
wonder.
was interesting.
I wonder if that's they wanted to create that contrast with that sitar kind of sound that you took, because it was a very metallic noise. You got all these organic sounds, and then you've got this like very harshly not organic sound that comes in at one point. Um,
Yeah, is it timed to something? Like is
I
because
wish
these
I
kind of games
wish
are
I
like
could
side scrollers, right?
I wish I could say that would be the case, but I could also argue that it could be artistic license and just wind up just going off the flow of whatever the arranger was going through at
mm,
the time
hmm.
in terms of trying to transition and piece together the actual sound that they wanted to try to emit and project inside the stage. Otherwise, I really couldn't tell you if it's an exact intent for that sound to give such a vibe that it was trying to emit at the time.
Maybe it was just purely like a contrast thing, just to make it more unsettling. Like, um, deliberately, here comes this metallic sound amongst all the organic noise to just kind of make you feel a little bit unsettled. Um, I'm definitely going to have a listen to that one. I mean, we're going to hear it more in the pre-show anyway, but I really appreciate when a track doesn't sound like it's definitely made with the intention of the stage in mind, and that a lot of thought's definitely been put into that one. It's not like they already had created it and then just slapped it on top of.
Yeah, it's a shining contrast to a lot of other Gradius games, especially with organic stages. If I can probably give a few examples, and people can listen to it to their own time. Of course, I already mentioned stuff like Gradius 3 and 5, Gradius 3, Dead End Cell for the arcade variant, and Unpleasant Cell for the SNES variant, which is overall my favorite theme in the game. So something to think about there. And of course, the Cell equivalent stage in Gradius 5. You also got side stuff like Salamander. You hear Power of Anger a lot in those kinds of stages, which is you can argue is one of the themes when it comes to Salamander, which is another side series of the Gradius franchise. It's interesting to hear the comparison, the contrast of those sounds, because some can sound more techno, some can sound a little more high energy and a little more peppy and more actiony, and of course there's another one that sounds very final stage like. You can hear it in the somber melancholic tone of the music. And I'm gonna leave the people to kind of like take your time to observe on your own time what I mean, and kind of just listen to it, compare, contrast, and you kind of hear where I'm getting at when I'm trying to explain this.
Be sure to. I'll be sure to get those tracks you're referring to from you, so that when I do the post afterwards, people can go check out those comparison tracks as well. If you liked what you listened to here, kind of thing, then here's where you can go next. But no, that was. I look forward to this submission. If that's our first one, I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, like I said, it's a soundtrack that kind of stick with me, and I hope it will gain a little bit of a following when it comes up. Definitely not an if. It definitely is a win.
I would actually. Uh, curious to see what the gameplay of this stage looks like as well. Actually, I might check that out too, or if
Well,
anyone wants to post it.
I probably wouldn't say is that different from any other organic stages. They usually play the same, but if you want to just look at it as far as musical context in relation to the stage, then you can pretty much go from there.
Gradius 3 has been on my submission list for a long time, the SNES version. And Life Force, aka Salamander. I love both of those games. They're great.
I think I was even going to put Gradius in like right from the beginning,
Yeah,
but I didn't make
it
it in
was
for
in the
some reason.
database,
Was it?
Gradius 1.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can't remember. Maybe I just didn't get around to it or whatever. But there you go. Thank you very much, Creed, for introducing us to that track. We have one
Mhm.
more to go. It is Collector's EverQuest track. Would you like to give us a little bit of a preamble for
Oh
this one?
boy, would I ever. Okay.
It's more this
Uh
one. This sounds like a track that's more about the story than the track.
yeah, it's more about the story,
Yeah.
and because this track, back then we would raid 5 days a week and for about 7 to 8 hours a day. So, and we got stuck in this raid for over 2 months because it was broken. The zone would have creatures that when they killed you, they would spawn more creatures, which would instant kill you. So any death resulted in an instant wipe.
Oh wow.
And this zone had broken geometry, so a mob would get stuck on a pebble that you couldn't even see in the ground, and then would pull the rest of the zone and instantly wipe you. And this all goes back to because Sony was coming out with EverQuest 2 at the time. So their full focus wasn't on EverQuest 1 anymore. So they had the B team working on it, and you could really tell because this expansion was just completely broken, and everyone on every server was stuck in this zone for a 2-month period, and WoW closed beta got released at that time. So everybody just basically decided, well, you know what? We're going to go play WoW now.
And
So yeah, this
and do you? Yeah, I'm guessing you eventually got past that.
we did. They eventually fixed it and nerfed it because this expansion, it was supposed to come with a level increase to 65. Well, at the end, they decided not to increase the levels, so we were still level 60. But the or no, it was you were 65. The expansion was tuned for 70, and they released the expansion tuned for 70, but didn't give you a level increase, so you were still level 65. So yeah, it was trying to defeat things with half the 5 levels short and half the equipment that you were supposed to have was just a complete disaster.
Does it work like WoW, where if you're quite a few levels below, you basically can't even hit the thing that you're trying to?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. All right. And which expansion is this relative to the original? Like, how do you?
Gates of Discord was the 5th, 6th expansion. Yeah, like the 6th expansion.
So did everyone just like dump EverQuest 2 and just went back to the original, or what happened to EverQuest 2? I've never heard about that.
Because
Yeah.
EverQuest 2 released a month before WoW, and it was basically just a WoW clone before WoW was out. I mean, you could tell they were the EverQuest 2 team looked at WoW and they were basically like, yes, we're just going to copy this and release this ourselves with EverQuest lore. Because it plays very, very similarly.
Yeah, they probably just regret like just not working on the original and just updating that one.
I mean, they definitely did, because after that, EverQuest 2 became the black sheep, and barely gets any updates, and all the most of the nostalgias for the original game. There's I don't even think there's like 5,000 people that play EverQuest 2. It's very tiny.
Have there been many MMOs that have died recently? Because the only one I can think of is I had a friend who played The Matrix Online, and I remember they had their kind of apocalypse event for the end of the.
Yeah, I remember they had that for like EverQuest Online Adventures on the PS2. That's how long ago that was. It was on the PS2 network adapter or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had their end of life event like a couple of years ago because people were still playing it apparently for some reason.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't think many other MMOs have died recently. I think most of them nowadays just basically last forever as long as it's not like licensed or anything.
I mean, it must be worth it for the companies then. All right, let's
Yeah, they must be getting something out of it.
let's listen to the track. This was it Aqua?
Ukwa.
Ukwa, the
Yeah, they
ocean
decided
god
that
chantry.
they had a strategy of not including vowels in this expansion, so there's plenty of just consonants next to each other for no reason.
There you go. Let's listen to the track. It's only a minute long. Should I play it twice, or is it pretty much done after a minute?
Nah, it's one. You're fine.
Oh, here we go. A nice little nibble of a track for us to finish on. Let's listen. We now have a MP3 for collector. We should make custom chase victory music. Chase a victory music, and when you win collector, Or when you lose, I'll play this. I'll
Play
play
this
this flag.
motivation to not lose.
Da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun.
Hey, you better not lose now.
Just
Yeah.
thousand, like probably not, maybe hundreds of hours of this track, just over and over again.
Yeah, that would
Oh,
be.
it was horrible.
Ah, gosh.
I forgot to mention the composer, Paul Romero.
Paul Romero. Yeah, yeah. It should be up on. Do I not have that on? Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it's on screen.
Yeah. It's just the notes that I don't have up on the screen that I need to work on.
Yeah, he did Might Magic 6 and a couple of, like, all the Might Magic games he did the OST for.
Yeah, it did sound like the Addams Family. But okay, cool. So we have our first kind of trauma track in the podcast playlist.
Oh, I forgot to
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, like, the degrees of separation for this track, because this is what caused Alex Asaravi, Führer, to leave EverQuest and work in the WoW dev team.
All right.
And he did a bunch of the classic WoW quests and developed, like, the Cthulhu fight and other things that enraged WoW players. So, like, WoW's just some of the worst events in WoW and other stuff all link back to this one raid.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing like EverQuest is more hardcore than WoW. By the sounds
Yeah,
of
it
it.
definitely was.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, Swear jar. All right. Good stuff. We've covered everything there. Oh, and it's the o'clock as well. Look at that. We wrapped that up very nicely
Wow.
in 1 hour exactly. High fives, everyone.
Nice.
um, just complete coincidence. Well, thanks for joining us, collector Marvelous Billy LVCreed.
Thanks for having
And
us.
no problems,
Mhm.
no problems. It was a pleasure listening to all of your tracks that you've chosen. It will appear again in future. If you in the chat would like to join us in the podcast as well, then just fill out the form. I believe I pinned it in the Discord channel. Also, welcome to the new player, not player, but new viewer, I guess, but possible future player, Vihu Linen 90. Thanks for joining us if you're still here. And to who was it that hosted? What's his name? Rated us? J.
Yeah, it was Jay something. I think it scrolled off the
The
screen.
the
Or
Henry.
scrolled off my
What was the guy's channel that you were on the other day, collector? JB Henry 14. Thanks for the raid. Forgot to mention it at the time. Yeah, fill out the form. We've got a few people queued up, but sometimes even we're not necessarily going in strictly in order because um, some people have certain availabilities at certain times, and we try and match up time zones for people. So send through your suggestions. We'll be happy to listen to it. I'll quickly cover some other things regarding episode 600 because there's been some questions I'm noticing in the team chats. The team captain role is very similar to Time Raid team captain, plus a few other responsibilities as well. But that's generally, I think a few people were suspecting that delegation round was going to be a major part. I'll just fill you in and say that it's not, so you don't have to worry about that. It's still important for you to kind of coordinate who knows what, just so that you can be a bit more coordinated as a team, so that not everyone's talking over each other and stuff like that. Because as you can imagine, when you already know how much people talk during just time raid by itself with only 4 people. We've got teams of about 8 to 10 or plus players at the moment. So if everyone's talking over each other, it's going to slow you all down. So would recommend that you're a little bit coordinated about who knows what with that regard. I am pushing hard to squeeze in Pictionary and karaoke because I think they're very, very good and a lot of fun. And I think people would be upset if we didn't have them in. The main event does take up a lot of time. Um, and so we did have to cut head to head. Because head to head takes a lot of preparation on our end and on your end, and a lot of time as well. So sadly, we can't have everything. We got if we want to try some new things every now and again, we got to do it in lieu of something else. So, did anyone have any other questions about episode 600? Maybe I'm forgetting something.
I mean, are like connection rounds and stuff like that going to be still in?
Possibly. I would say it's likely, but there have been changes to the table rounds as well. So before the table rounds were um, picture and connection,
And
I
the
think it
sample,
was, and the sampler and the
big world
mashup.
sampler.
Yeah, some of them are still in. Some of them have been changed to something else. So you can expect a little bit of the same and a little bit of something else, new stuff as well. Are we still using Magma for the Pictionary? Assuming that Magma is still just as like easy to use as it was before, then yes. You will find out with regards to picture HB. I won't spoil that one. I will say though that it's getting harder and harder to create picture rounds because we've used up a lot of the easy ones
Yeah,
or the
without
straightforward
using
ones.
like AI for stuff, it's
Yeah,
getting a lot harder.
we don't really want to use AI, and we also don't want to make it start to use really obscure tracks as well. So it's still, I will say, it's still there in some form. That's probably the best I can say. Connection round was neat, but some more leniency with it would be nice. You should have heard. You should have heard the chasers complaining about the players' answers
Olympic
in the backroom
rings.
chat. Yeah, that one we'll try and I'll try and audit the answers so that there's no unambiguous. Sorry, there's no ambiguous possible answers. So there's no risk of people getting upset about that. Horrible AI generated imagery round. Oh man, I mean, I feel like we'll only have a small window for that to be a thing because that AI stuff is getting a lot better very quickly. I think since it gave 3 points, you could give like one or two if we're getting it close-ish. Yeah, a judgment call is a bit of a tough one to give points on, especially if it's the difference maker of winning or losing.
Mm.
Let me just try and think. Anything else? 'Cause we've got a smaller and smaller window of transferring information easily about episode 600. No, I think you're pretty good. I've seen some great posters so far, team banners. Team Buck Bumbles has made me laugh several times already. Um, yeah, so maybe we'll have to give. I don't know if we had bonus points for best
I don't
this
think you
one.
did
I
last
think I
time.
just announced. Yeah,
You said you might do that, and I don't think it ended up happening.
yeah. I will because I mean, there's some teams have like straight up artists in their team, and it's a
Yeah,
bit
it's a little
rough.
unfair
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's a bit rough. I like when the teams have to just work with what they've got, and they come up like what was the team banjo was like everyone is
Yeah,
here.
Banjo's the
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that
it was
one.
so wholesome. All right. I think we'll leave it there. Have you confirmed the start time yet? It will be 1 hour earlier than the regular start time.
What date would that be again? Like
That is on the weekend of next week.
so the 23rd.
23rd for us.
Your
Yeah.
23rd
Alright,
for the
cool.
States, yeah, 24th for Australia, and
Probably a
Europe.
quick reminder of the scheduling up to 600 right quick.
Of 2600?
Up to
Yeah,
600. Like,
for episodes like top 100 and the actual chase episodes.
Oh, yeah, so this weekend at that early time as well is top 100. Yeah. Special episodes are just 1 hour earlier because it goes longer. I'm expecting that both shows I think that I think episode 600 will go for about 5 hours, like last time. I think top 100. Oh gosh, probably the same as what it was last time. I think it was also 5 hours. Will there be a lobby for top 100 too? Yes. The lobby for top 100 is the honorable mentions games that were in the 101 to 110 range, I believe it is, that
Yeah, it sounds
Dio
about
puts
right.
into a playlist. Is the Thursday in between just a break? Yes, there's no episode on that Thursday, so give us some time to um, put the show together.
In time, yeah.
All right, I think we've got everything covered for now. Thanks everyone once again. We shall see you all on the Thursday show. It'll be the last regular show for a while. Before I think the next time after that will be the 28th. So we'll enjoy that, and then we look forward to all the festivities of the special episodes. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll catch us all later.
All right.
Bye
Till
bye.
next
Bye.
time.
See ya.
See ya.